Hello, my name is Meredith, and today we are starting week 3 of NaNoWriMo. Today is November 15th. And this week, like the 2 weeks previously, we again have a special writing challenge to do. Instead of just a regular challenge of NaNoWriMo, we have added another level. The first week was about sprinting. The second week was about deep work and focus, but this week is going to be about efficiency. At some point while I was watching NaNoWriMo vlogs, somebody mentioned that they write like 500 words average in a 15-minute writing sprint, and I thought that that was ridiculous because I have never heard of numbers like that. But as I was writing the past week, I was just kind of realizing I could probably write faster, and I think that maybe I'm not maximizing my actual writing time that I'm sitting down and working. So this week, I'm doing a controlled study to figure out how fast I can reasonably write good quality prose and how I can take my efficiency up to the next notch. How this is going to work is I'm going to write in only 1 hour segments. I'm going to try to do 2 or 3 a day, tracking with the NaNoWriMo word count. I'm not going to try to go over that. I'm just trying to focus on, in my writing session, I want to maximize the amount of time that I'm spending actually putting words down rather than getting distracted. And I want to see if I can hit a personal record, even though I don't really know what my previous personal record is. But let's just see how much I can do in an hour. Okay, so yesterday I took some time to gather some raw data so that we have a baseline. So basically I have a low bar that every day I'm going to try to surpass, and we'll see how far I can go. So I did 2 writing sessions yesterday. One was at 10 p.m. and one was at 11 p.m. I was very tired for both of them. So in the first one, I got 1,402 words in 1 hour, which is way more than I thought I would. I think I was just like having a good time with the scene. So unfortunately, the bar has been set a little bit high, and that kind of scares me because I think like setting the bar with a really good writing session was not my intention. I thought I would kind of have a rocky one and we'll be like, okay, low baseline, we can easily surpass that. That's okay. This is supposed to be a challenge. We're starting out with a challenge. So 1402, and then the next one was 1255. From 11 to midnight, and I was very exhausted. I'm going to average them out, and that's going to be my baseline. That will be 1,328 words every hour. So that's my average and my baseline. So hopefully this week goes well. Hopefully I get a lot of words in an hour and maybe discover a new capacity that I have to write more than I think I've been able to if I actually just try. So I'm excited to see how this goes, and hopefully at the end of the week have some new epiphanies. That would be great. Okay, let's get to the vlog. Okay, it is the 16th of November. Yesterday I only did a single writing session, but it came out to 1,511 words. So that is so far my record since I've been doing this because I had only done it for 2 days. That kind of gives me hope because today is my 10K day. But based on yesterday's writing session of getting 1,500 words, I think that I can reduce the number of hours that I spend on the 10K from 10 down to about 7. 7 hours is like a reasonable amount of time to spend in a day, but I feel like 10 hours is just too much. So hopefully I'll spend even less. But the basic point of what I'm trying to say is that at the end of this day, I will have so much data on how much I can write in an hour because I'm going to do this entire challenge, which I did not mention in that video, but I'm going to do the whole thing in 1 hour segments. I'm going to record my word count for every single one of them. Hopefully we'll get some good, interesting data at the end of this, and I will let you know how it goes. Hello everybody, so it's the night on November 16th. 10K has been completed, and I have some data to report. So I had 5 good writing sessions. The first 2 were in the morning. Number 1 was 1322 words. The next one was 1265. But both of those were below my average for the day before. It could have just been that I was like taking time to like think through a thing or two, which I think I was. But so that's interesting. So those were lower. I had one when I got home from work that was the winner for today, and it was 1,751 words in an hour. That is just more than I thought was possible. First of all, in general, and second of all, definitely for me. Like, I guess I've never timed myself when writing before, but like that number just seems like it is out of the ballpark for me. And so I was like, maybe I messed it up. So we have 2 more data points to look at. In the evening, I wrote one that was 1,645 words in 1 hour. And so like that's pretty close. And the very last one, which was when I was getting tired, I was flagging. This was the hardest one to do. It was 1,711 words. I was on my 9,000th word and I was writing that. The average of all 5 was 1,538 words per hour. So my average really got bumped up because I had some big word counts later in the day. Like maybe I just got in the rhythm of like, this is what it feels like to write, and I'm just not going to think about it. I'm just going to have to keep going because there's so many words to write. So maybe like there was an urgency to it. That's pretty much what I wanted out of writing 10,000 words in a day, was a writing experiment where I get lots of data. So now I know a lot more about my brain, apparently, that it can do things I didn't know it could do. And one thing I want to comment on is that I think that doing these two challenges at the same time enhanced each other. And I didn't want to talk about this on the 10K video because I didn't want to talk about the fact that I was doing this other challenge. Once I realized that I could write about 1,500 words an hour, then I wasn't stuck there thinking, I have to write for 10 hours today. So every time I sat down to do the hour timer, I got right into it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to race myself. And so I was writing really fast and there was a lot of momentum. And so I think that because I was doing it in like 1 hour chunks, it made the writing go really, really fast. And so I think that honestly, doing this, finding out how much I can write in an hour and then deciding to push myself even past that, was probably the reason that the 10K was able to happen so easily. And then vice versa. A possible reason why my word counts per hour today were so high was because of the urgency of the 10K. So I had a great writing day, however you look at it. Writing challenges are so cool. I've been writing for almost every single day of the last 14 months, and I did not know this about myself, that I could write this much in an hour, and I feel like it's kind of revolutionizing things. So that's why I love trying new things, is because you never know what's going to stick, and you might just learn something about yourself that's really valuable moving forward. Today's the 19th of November. I have not updated the last 2 days, but I have written the past 2 days, just not that much. So I did my 10K a couple days ago, and so since then I've kind of just been writing, not as much. The fundamental issue has not been burnout or anything like that. It's been that I hit a roadblock with the plot, and last night I finally worked out the kinks, and so now I have a lot more material to write, and hopefully I'm going to pick up a little bit more speed. But I also figured in the last 2 days, like, as long as I wasn't just not writing at all, that taking a little bit of pressure off and just like only writing for about an hour was okay. So on Thursday, I wrote about 1,400 words in an hour. And then on Friday, I wrote 1,100 words in an hour, and that was my lowest yet this week. And I could feel that, and I was really, really tired, and it took me all day to try to get there, and I was just like low mood, and I was like, I don't want to do this. So we've got like kind of a lower limit. Our upper limit is still 1,751 words. So my goal in the next 2 days, today in my writing sessions that I have not done yet but will do tonight, and tomorrow, I want to try to make it to 2,000. I want to see if I can hit that in one writing session. I'm going to go do 2 1-hour writing sessions, and then tomorrow we'll finish it up, and I'll let you know my final thoughts, because I am having some thoughts, but I want to save it for the recap. Okay, let's go write. So it's November 20th, and I have a bunch of things to talk about because this has been a really interesting week writing challenge-wise, and there's definitely a couple points to hit about this. First of all, let's start with a recap as always. Yesterday, after I gave my update, I wrote 1,574 words. Today, I wrote in the morning and got 1,738 words. And again, it was between the main character and the love interest. What is this theme? This theme is that I enjoy romance and dialogue and conversation and deepening relationships, and that's what makes my brain fire. So that's good to know about yourself. And then way later in the day, I did another writing session, and basically I was like, this is the last one I'm going to have time for in this vlog, and I want to see if I can make 2K in an hour. So I really pushed myself, and I did it. I got 2,187 words in 1 hour, and I'm not going to ever try to make myself do this again because I think it's pointless. And I was really pantsing this scene, and it was like a really important scene. It was like the main beat of the fun and games that like sets off the midpoint, and there was something that I didn't know that I kept like putting off because I just didn't have time to figure out, like, as I was writing, what it should have been. And I ideally would have taken like 2 minutes and just sat there and like, closed my eyes and thought about it, but I didn't have those 2 minutes. So I just kept writing and writing and kind of like elongated the scene. But I was able to get over 2,000 words in 1 hour. So at least I can say I did it, and that's possible. But it was definitely really pushing myself, and it really wasn't that enjoyable. When I was doing the 2,000, I was like, this is too much. So that's definitely like the highest end. And maybe there's times when I can hit that organically, but I don't really think that I should try for that. I think that the 15 to 1700 range is like really good for me. Okay, that's all for the recap. Let's talk. First of all, my lowest word count was 1,143 words, and my highest was that 2,187 that I just did. And so that's a really big range of like 1,000 words, give or take, in an hour. Like that's a lot, depending on how distracted I get. And my average of all 13 writing sessions that I did this week is 1,532 words. So I guess that's my average writing speed per hour. Time of day didn't really seem to affect it since I got high word counts both in the morning and at night. What actually does affect it rather than time of day was how tired I was. And so that's something that I need to be aware of, is that if I actually want to use my time well, I need to make sure that I'm well rested. And then a factor that hugely affected it was what part in the story I was writing. If I was writing something where I had to pants a lot, usually I had a lower word count. If I was writing something between the love interest and the main character, I got a really high word count super easily. And so that's something else that if I'm trying to manage my expectations about how much I can write in an hour, I need to change those expectations based on what is going on in the story and how into it am I. Let's do a final takeaway because I have so many thoughts. So throughout the course of NaNoWriMo, I've tried 3 things. Number 1 was the sprinting. It didn't really go very well. I wasn't really into the story, and I think the story was a huge part of that problem, but also the sprinting just wasn't my writing style. And then I tried deep work, which was supposed to be my writing style, but there were no limits to it. There was no structure, and so it didn't really go that well. And then the 3rd week, I tried this, and my writing is off the charts. And I think why is because it's combining deep work with sprinting. So it's putting a timer on and it's creating a structure of saying you only have to write for this amount of time, but while this timer is going, you need to be putting words down. And so it's eliminating distraction during that time, and yet it's enough time for me to really get into a flow state. And I thought I needed like several hours to get into a flow state. It turns out that I don't. I just need more than like 20 minutes. So I accidentally found a Goldilocks combination of deep work mediated by sprinting or having a timer on while I write. So I would just say, like, try new things. I don't know, you never know when you're going to find something that just really works for you. Okay, and then this is a really big topic, but I think it really needs to be said, which is the difference in writing styles between different people. So I'm a verbal processor, and that means that I talk a lot. So when I was explaining the results of all of this to my husband earlier today, he said, this is possible because your brain just keeps giving you words. So basically, that's just how my brain works. My brain always has words. It's always processing things verbally. But that's not how everybody thinks. And to contrast to me, my husband writes really slow, but he writes really clean prose. And that's the opposite of what I do. I write insanely messy prose. I just spill out whatever comes to me and I say, I'll fix it later. So I'm not thinking critically as I'm writing. I am brainstorming in motion. And so I think that's one of the reasons that I can get that high word count is because I'm processing verbally as I'm writing. I'm not creating something that's as clean as other people who are slower about it. There definitely are exceptions. There are people who can write super fast and have really clean prose. But I think in a lot of cases, there's a trade-off between your time where if you write a super fast draft, it is probably going to be messier and you're probably going to have to spend more time editing it. Or if you write slower and more methodically, then you're not going to have as many mistakes to fix. So if you're a slower writer, you might not want to aim for having a super high word count in a certain amount of time. Instead, you might want to just aim for eliminating distraction and see if that helps your word count go a little bit faster. Or just appreciate the fact that you might write cleaner prose than someone like me, and you probably do. And so I think this whole thing comes down to each their own, and figure out how to hone your writing in the way that works best for your brain, because people are so different. Writing is so subjective. Well, I think that's all I have to say about that, but I have one more announcement before I end this video, and that is that I finished NaNoWriMo. I know that's kind of an important one, but just right at the end here, I wanted to say that I hit 50K today. So I am at 50,100 words in NaNoWriMo, and it's the 20th of November. This happened because of the 10K day and also because of the last week. But I'm really a completionist, and I feel that finishing this book would be the best thing for me. So I'm going to try to finish it off before Christmas and then have a break during Christmas. And so I'll keep you updated on how finishing the book goes. For me, even though I hit 50K, NaNoWriMo is not over yet. I'm just going to keep going and see how far I can go and just be in the spirit of having the urgency of NaNoWriMo and just the excitement of it. Yeah, I'm just going to keep writing this book because I have a book now that can be written and that I really like. Okay, that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. I hope you learned something. I know I learned a lot of things about myself by doing this. Like this video if you enjoyed the content, and I hope you subscribe and stick around if you haven't subscribed already. Happy writing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.